It is Tuesday, the 5th of March 2024, and as of this week, BigScreen have successfully started to dispatch and have arrived with customers in the United Kingdom units of their BigScreen VR. In this video, I'm going to compare it to the Pimax8KX and say whether or not, in my opinion, the BigScreen VR is the better VR headset. Spoiler alert for those of you who don't want to know the answer, put your fingers in your ears. For those of you who hate content creators dragging the answer out and waiting until the end of the video to drop it in the final 3 seconds, the answer is the BigScreen VR is by far, in my opinion, the superior VR headset. Now, if you want to hang around and understand my rationale and reasoning behind it, let me explain. Before I do, if you appreciate getting the answer straight away so you can now skip this video and get on with the rest of your life, I would appreciate you just hitting like, perhaps hitting subscribe, and if you're feeling overly generous, share the video for the YouTube algorithm. Now, let's get into it. As you can see from the video, it weighs 127 grams. It's 24 millimeters at its thinnest point, 143.1 millimeters in length, and 52.4 millimeters wide. It is tiny. Compare that to the Pimax8KX. It is 280.1 millimeters by 108.2 millimeters and by 135.9 millimeters. It's huge compared to the BigScreen VR. And compared to 127 grams for the BigScreen VR, I believe the Pimax8KX is something just under 2 kilograms. That size and weight, but how does it perform? Well, I took an initial look in Automobilista 2, in Assetto Corsa Competizione, even in rFactor 2 just to give it a comparison, and I tried in Le Mans Ultimate to see if I could get that to work in VR using the BigScreen VR. Now, this is the field of view in the Pimax8KX. It doesn't look this wide to you like a goldfish when you're in there, but this is how much screen real estate you have in VR. I normally have to crop it for a video upload. This is your field of view in the BigScreen VR. You can see it is much smaller. It's much closer to perhaps the Oculus Rift CV1. So you're very much going to have to accept that your field of view from the Pimax will come down. However, when it comes to visual clarity, the image quality in the BigScreen VR is delicious. Content creators who've had early access to them have been talking about how deep and rich the black is, and until you see it, it's hard to appreciate what they're referring to. That dash is jet black. It's like tar. In the Pimax8KX and every other headset I've had, it would be a very, very, very dark brown. It will be, you know that it's supposed to be black, but it doesn't give you that complete black texture. Now, even in Assetto Corsa Competizione, the image clarity of the dashboard is significantly improved, where in the Pimax8KX I would find it difficult to make out what was on the dash because the contrast between the black and the white gave you these really blurry, fuzzy lines. In the BigScreen VR, it's so much clearer. If I would say it's 100% clear in Automobilista 2, I would say that without changing any graphical setting, just changing the headset, it's now at a 98% clarity in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Whereas in the Pimax8KX, I would say it's at 85 to 90% on a good day. Because I didn't adjust any of the graphics settings for any of the games before I just tested out the headset, I'm not really going to go into any detail on rFactor 2 or Le Mans Ultimate. Suffice it to say, yes, even in rFactor 2 there was some visual clarity improvement, but the graphical quality was still low based on where I had it set. The same for Le Mans Ultimate. I couldn't say that the graphical quality improved because I have my settings so low in a vain attempt to get VR to work in it. However, what I will say is I think for the first time I was able to capture the VR mirror window without it looking like a stop motion movie. And that's possibly because I'm using less GPU processing power for the BigScreen VR. I possibly have more GPU overhead, but that's just a speculation, that's just a theory. I'll have to look into that in a little bit more detail. So back to the visual experience with the BigScreenVR, you'll notice straight away that because it's got a smaller, narrower field of view, and because of the form-fitted cushion that you get with it, you're very much more aware of this outer shadow at the edge of your view, where the foam is giving you that scuba diver's mask effect or a monocular effect, where you in your peripheral vision you can just see that there is something there. It makes it a little bit like a dark shadow. You feel like you're looking through, I don't know, like a snorkel or a periscope. However, you get over that. It's very much what it was like with the Oculus, and I'm sure it's like that again with some of the narrower field of view headsets that are out there. But what you do get is when you look at that and there isn't a sweet spot, you can just look forward and everything has this crystal clear definition. The colors are so rich, but everything on the dashboard, no matter what car it is, every digit, every dial, everything is so clean, such high definition. There's hardly any shadowing or fuzziness or blurriness that has that anti-aliasing effect that you get, or that high contrast effect that you get when there's black on white. This, honestly, sincerely, this is the closest thing to what I would expect to see sitting in real life in my car. It's the clearest, cleanest visual experience I've had in VR ever. It's so clear, in fact, that I need to look and not be hyperbolic, but as I was driving around, I thought this is a better image than I get sitting looking at my 4K HD TV. It's that clear, and not only is it clear, it's in 3D. And again, that for me is why I truly believe this is a better headset. To top it off, it's so light you don't even know that you're wearing, well, let me stop there. You know that you're wearing a VR headset because you can feel the snug fit of the head strap, and I have the additional overhead band to make it a little bit more comfortable when wearing it for a long period of time. But other than that, the only way you know you're wearing it is the pressure that you feel around your eyes, in your sockets, where the form fitting is, it's giving you that feeling that you get if you're wearing swimming goggles. So you have to be very conscious about how you fit it. If you try and fit it too tightly, it's going to be like if you put swimming goggles on and it's too tight and it presses into the socket around your eyeball. However, if you just make it nice and comfortable so that it doesn't move around and it's sitting nicely on your face, yes, you know it's there, but it's like you're looking through binoculars. It's like you have them pressed to your eyes. You don't push it so hard that it hurts, but you have enough pressure that you know that it's there. That's it. That is the only physical impression that you get that you're wearing this headset. So I'm convinced that after an hour, after 2 hours, 3 hours of wear, I won't get that same painful effect that I get wearing the Pimax8KX because it's so heavy. After a long play session, it starts to press into my forehead. The foam that's supposed to be cushioning has depressed so much that it no longer does anything. So the hard plastic of the casing starts pressing into my forehead, and the weight is discernible. So unless you have counterweights on the back of your headset, you start to feel it at the back of your neck. You start to feel it on your forehead. You're carrying around almost 2 kilos. With this, the BigScreenVR, that is not an issue. And also in the Pimax8KX, again, after an extended play session, when it got warm, sweat would start dripping down my face. That is not an issue with the BigScreenVR because it's so light, and because it's not a huge visor sitting over a huge area of your face. So yes, 100% you have to accept there's a smaller field of view, but what you're giving up in field of view, you get back in spades in visual clarity. The fact that you don't have to try and keep positioning the headset in front of your eyes to get that sweet spot of clarity, you can just look through it. Yes, if you look left and right with your eyes without moving your head, it's a blurred image at the edge. But that's the same for anybody that wears varifocals. You know you have to look straight ahead through the lens to see crystal clear. So I'm looking forward to much more playtime in the big screen VR, and I'm going to see if I can dial in my graphics settings for Assetto Corsa Competizione and especially Le Mans Ultimate. I want to test that theory of whether I've got more GPU headroom and can improve those experiences. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Comment below. Do you have any opinion on whether the Pimax8KX is actually a superior headset and I've just got it all wrong? Are you also getting yourself a big screen VR, or perhaps do you have a Pimax Crystal instead, or are on the waiting list for the Pimax 12K LED or another headset? Let me know. So I'll see you on track, and again, it'll do me a huge favor if you wouldn't mind hitting like, hitting subscribe and sharing the video.